running back, and he is immediately met in the backfield, runs through the contact, and then throws a shoulder for good measure.
On this team this year. That is true. High in the air. Right center field. Brandon comes in. Welcome to 2025. Today. This one the other way. Still going back. Got the drag. Walks up and down.
Edwards pulls off and buries it. Richardson drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money.
Takes his shot for Derby. Flag out. Doesn't matter. Touchdown.
There we are. Welcome on into Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays, holiday edition of Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, I am Michael Caratino at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as the Twitter. You guys know it. You guys love it. You can check out the show live there every day, Monday through Friday, 12 to 1. And Monday through Friday, 12 to 1. And go from there. You can also go to the wonderful world of the IG and go to michael.caratinudo.5. Yep, you can do that too. Yes, you can do that too. Just add a dot, as you see, between my first and last name, and then a .5 at the end, and bam, there you go. Also, guys, the YouTube channel, I know I remind you daily, but it's worth reminding because thank you to the new subscribers. Again, forks up. We love that. Go to YouTube. Again, you have missed a plethora of phenomenal con reviews, my friends, as you have missed a lot because you have missed a lot. And you can go to YouTube, whether it be, again, coaches, players, voices, insiders, alum, a wonderful athletic director who we're actually going to hear from today, had a presser after the Coach Dillingham press conference. And I reminded you guys yesterday that we would be kicking off with that again. You're going to split it up into, you're going to have a break in the middle. It was a little bit, a lot there. So again, not just going to play it all straight because, it's digest, it's Pitchfork Lunch, got to digest a little bit, have some, digest a little bit, go from there. So we'll hear from Graham Rossini. Again, the Kenny Dillingham extension that got done, all of it. And, people talk to me about leverage, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But yes, and just, obviously the support from the university, obviously Michael Crow, President Crow, and, supporting athletics, how they changed it up. And we've talked about it, but again, we'll hear from Graham on that as he touches on that. Again, caught up with us in between Sunday Fun Days double header, the men's and women's hoops game. Again, men's battling with Oregon State. We'll also hear from Coach Bobby Hurley later about that, and Mo Odom as well. But yeah, this is a Sun Devil team that very much, was, it was kind of like, let's see what happens. But that being said, we'll hear from Bobby Hurley as well, and we'll hear from Mo Odom. But yes, we are going to hear from Graham Rossini first. My whole point is that go to YouTube, watch live. But while you're watching live, subscribe to the channel, because if you've missed all that I said you missed, and you've missed a lot, I say, where have you been? Shame on you. But I got you covered because you've missed season 1 and season 2. But now we're rolling season 3, having a lot of fun, kind of like women's hoops rolling at 14-0, one of just 5 teams to be 14-0 in hoops. But yes, you can go to YouTube, and you guys know how to get to you. You see my YouTube. You see my name, Michael Caratinudo, and go to Michael Caratinudo. But if you want to go to my page, it's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Champ 005, at MVC005 on YouTube, and subscribe. And Arizona State still has not entered the top 25 in the AP, because the AP is absolutely pathetic when it comes to understanding winning. I mean, Texas Tech is 14-0, and they're up 5 spots. They're number 21, and they're 14-0, which another Big 12 team. As UConn 12-0, South Carolina dropped their first game. By the way, they fell from number 1 to number 3. They dropped it a minute ago, but they did lose to Texas 66-64. He was number 4 at the time, and then turn around and beat number 22 Louisville. NC Central beat Penn State just like ASU did, but I'm sure they get even more credit for beating Penn State because it's South Carolina. And again, I'm not going to rip South Carolina because what Coach Staley's done, phenomenal. It's just like ripping UConn, like what Coach R.M. has done. Yeah. But yes, the number 1 team in the land is UConn. They are 12-0. Texas is 14-0. They're number 2. And then South Carolina's at 3. And then you have UCLA at 4, LSU at 5, Michigan at 6, Maryland at 7. Oh, and then here comes under Maryland's 13-0 as well. LSU is 2 at number 5. But here comes the Big 12. Yes, 8. Number TCU gets the respect of being up one spot, being number 8. So yeah, they're 13-0 at number 8. Maryland stayed at the same spot. 1 through 7 stayed in the same spots because they all had won their games. But nonetheless, TCU gets to jump one spot to number 8. Oklahoma is they're actually tied for 8 because you can tie for points on the I guess in the voting you could outside of being number 1. But yeah, so they're actually tied for 8th. They're listed ahead of Oklahoma. And then you have Iowa State at 10, who's 13-0. Again, dominant, really good team. And, they opened up beating Kansas in conference play. But, they opened up beating Kansas, but nonetheless, they are number 10 at 13-0. TCU is 13-0. And then you have Kentucky at 11, Vanderbilt at 12, Louisville at 13, Iowa at 14, Ole Miss at 15. Iowa's 10-2, by the way, but we're going to give the Big Ten so much credit. So much credit. Yeah, so they Iowa, yes, like I said, gets that credit. They're at 14, Ole Miss at 15. UNC at 11-3, who's up 2 spots, is at 16. USC's at 9-3, they're at 17. Again, good. I'm not saying not good teams, but once again, winning doesn't matter. Nebraska or Ohio State is at 19, and they're 10-1. Texas Tech is, like I said, up 5 spots. They're number 21. They're 14-0. Baylor's right behind them at 11-3. They've gotten respect, but they dropped. So, of course, they lose a game, and they drop 7 spots. Who did they lose to? Let's see. What caused Baylor to drop 7? That's so – well, they did lose to number 2 Texas, which I never got that. But anyway, they did lose to number 2 Texas. Oh, and now they did lose to Texas Tech, who is good and is undefeated. But, the AP was going to punish Big 12 teams but reward Big 10 teams. It makes sense. Makes sense. So Baylor down 7 spots for that. And then, Tennessee, they lost, so they actually dropped 6 spots. Then you have Michigan State, Tennessee at 23 behind Baylor, and then Michigan State and Princeton. But Oklahoma State receives 37 votes. That's a Big 12 team. So that's 26. And then Alabama received 26 votes. That's number 27. Stanford is number 28. Georgia, number 29. Washington at number 30. NC State, number 31. ASU State at 32. But, they went from 1 to 7 because, just because Colorado, who is a good team and, plays defense. And look, these other teams that some of these teams have beat, they're 14-0. You're pathetic, AP. It's pathetic. And you can look, coaches are going to play. It's the next game. It's go 1-0. It'll take care of itself. If Molly Miller's at ASU last year, then she would be getting credit for a Lifetime Achievement Award, just like, some of these other rankings do, because let's see. Louisville at 12-3, who's up 3 spots. Again, Louisville, a good team. They lost to UConn, who's number 1. Okay. First game of the season by 13. Then they whoop Northern Kentucky. They beat Colorado, but it was very close. It was 74-68. Tell me, really, that's a blowout? And a 6-point game's a blowout? Colorado hung with Louisville too. So, and again, didn't beat them, but then they beat Clemson. They played Morehead State, crushed them. Now they lost to Kentucky, whose was number 20 at the time, by 10, 72-62. Then you beat Eastern Illinois, you beat East Tennessee State, you beat Bellarmine. 100-37, challenging yourself. Then you lose, of course, to another tough team in South Carolina. Although it's a close game, 79-77, still an L. Big 12 team ASU would get crushed for that. And then you beat New Hampshire, beat Ball State. Now, you did beat number 12 North Carolina by 10. Hats off to them for that. And then you beat Eastern Kentucky. Then you turn around and beat Tennessee. You whooped Tennessee 89-65. Okay, so that got them, those two games got them to jump up. Louisville to jump up. Where did I see them? 3 spots, but where are they? Oh, at 13. So, okay, you do that. That's great. But the rest of the schedule, again, you're telling me ASU hasn't played teams deservedly in the top 25? I mean, Tennessee 7-3. Yeah, 7-3, down 6 spots. Like, again, Baylor and Tennessee were the 2 biggest droppers, but Texas Tech, who's undefeated. I mean, ASU 7 votes, 7. Like, again, AP, cool. You're more than welcome to come on the show. Everybody, you can hashtag anyone, any writers from the AP. Homer show or not, it's not a lifetime achievement. It's not a year-to-year thing. Yes, UConn deserves to be number 1. South Carolina is Texas undefeated. Beat South Carolina too. No problems with that. Absolutely none. Because it's for this season. But this season, you can't tell me ASU's not one of the top 25. So that inevitably crazy to me. But nonetheless, I digress to that whole side tangent there of why you should subscribe to YouTube. Because, again, things you've missed, we're having Coach Miller on here. Again, players, we're going to get more as they're, on holiday break now. Again, hope everybody's having a beautiful holiday week. But, yes, go to YouTube. You see my name, Michael Cartenuto. Go to the page. I know I told you, but it's at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Champ, 005, at MVC005 on YouTube, and subscribe away. So that is that. Also, yes, we'll hear from Coach Bobby Hurley as well, and Mo Odom, like I said. But we're going to take a break. When we get back, it's going to roll right in to Sun Devil Athletic Director Graham Rossini, Kenny Dillingham's extension. We heard from Coach Dillingham yesterday. I wanted to get this to you yesterday, but again, couldn't go overtime. So again, couldn't go crazy overtime. So again, got to fit this in 12-1. So nonetheless, take a quick break, and then we'll have Graham Rossini right on the other side here on Pitchfork Lunch. All right, back here on Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, I'm Michael Cartenuto at Diablo00 on X, our known as Twitter. Again, check out the show live there every day, Monday through Friday, 12-1, as well as the IG at michael.cartenuto.5 and the YouTube channel, which you need to watch live, but subscribe to at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, Season Champ 005 at MVC005 on YouTube, and subscribe away. So, like I said, we're going to get right to it. We're going to have Sun Devil Athletic Director Graham Rossini. Again, talking everything Kenny Dillingham extension, everything. And again, about halfway through, we shall about halfway through, we shall take a break. So yes, again, there's a lot to digest. There's a lot there, covers a lot. So we will start it now. But again, here is Sun Devil Athletic Director Graham Rossini.
We're not ready yet. Your equipment's early. You're on Kenny Dillingham time.
That's how we roll.
Hey Graham, it's good talking to you. It's Aya Abdi for Devil Good Detail.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what had led into agreeing to an extension with Kenny Dillingham yesterday morning.
Well, I mean, leadership matters first and foremost. And so when you've got great leadership in your program, we're going to do everything we can to build around that momentum that leadership creates. And it's about longevity, it's about sustainability, it's about the tools for our coaches in any of our sports to do their job at the highest possible level. And so really an easy decision to want to extend him. A lot of details that we wanted to get right throughout that process.
And when it comes to Dillingham's slogan, which he said, activate the Valley. How much does it mean for the football program, and especially like how you've been building on to this momentum throughout the last few years?
I think it's been a really effective call to action. Activate the Valley can mean a lot of different things. It means everybody finding their unique contribution to what we're building. And it starts with showing up, it starts with being present, it starts with finding the passion and the things that you really enjoy and believe in. And then finding that unique way that you can add a solution, add a tool, add a resource, add a connection into the work that we're doing. And so I'll never forget the day that Coach Dillingham was hired. There was this kind of awakening moment of just, we're gonna be powerful here. We're gonna be powerful as a fan base, we're gonna be powerful as a community. And when you get people that believe in the mission of what ASU is all about, and they want their best years to happen at this university, I think great things can happen. And so we're starting to see that play out a lot in the last couple of years, where people that are from ASU get a chance to stay here and be a part of it. People that aren't a part of ASU want to be a part of it because they see the momentum that's coming in. And so Activate the Valley has been this incredible rallying cry for all of us these last couple of years. And now we talked a little bit this last week about we're activated. It's time to ignite the Sun Devils.
When you were on the radio, when you were on the radio on Thursday, you said, oh, you preach patient, it takes time, 48 hours later, you got everything's done. And, as far as the timeline, were you surprised at was it fast or not fast, or?
I was surprised that there was a lot of what I thought misinformation and a false narrative out there, that there was a standoff, that there were aspects of the deal that were never there to begin with. I mean, keeping Kenny is an absolute priority for me. It's an absolute priority for Dr. Crow. It was never a conversation that we had about letting him move on. And like you said yesterday, he was never offered a job. It was more about giving our coaches the tools to do their job at the highest possible level. And in our business, leadership matters, but leadership needs to be paired with processes. It needs to be paired with resources. It needs to be prepared with or combined with the chance to any of our coaches to know that they can do their business and do their job at the highest possible level. So I was surprised that it seemed to take a different course in terms of the social media narrative or what people were thinking, but our process was convicted about getting it right and making sure that Kenny has the things that he's identified as the most important attributes for him to continue to build a high-end football program at ASU. And like I mentioned Thursday, the details, the little details, every period, every semicolon is going to matter in an arrangement like the one that we've been building. And so we were close on Thursday, and you're right, less than 48 hours, it was a done deal.
To piggyback up,
he said that he had a first version of an offer, like the day after the Arizona game or thereabouts. That was about 3 weeks. So if you guys weren't really at odds about things, what was a 3 week period about?
Well, we first started talking after the Texas Tech win about let's get ready for the offseason, let's get ready for the assistant coaches cycle, let's get ready for, at that point there were a lot of big jobs open, and making sure that he had no reason to start thinking about talking to other schools or talking to other search firms about other jobs. And I mean, he's remained remarkably consistent since he got here, that this is home, this is where he wants to be. And so the conversation from that point was, all right, we're at the midpoint of the season. This is normally where we would start talking about how do we prepare for the end of the year? How do we get in front of, assistant coaches that may be desirable like we did last year? How do we prepare for retaining our roster? How do we get prepared for the transfer portal, knowing that that's coming up in January, but then there's also, the process that takes place before when you're getting word of who may be out there. And so again, really refining more about program attributes and the things that we were going to need to be successful as a football program, more than it was about him. The process was never about Kenny and what he was seeking in this. We wanted to reward him, and we have rewarded him, and that's been very important about investing in the individuals as much as we're investing in the program. But got to the point after the U of A game where we had a lot of the program framework in place, and that was about getting coach in a solid spot. And remember, the extension we did last year, a lot of it was already designed to go to Arizona Board of Regents in January. The number of wins we have in the season is an important component of a contract moving forward. And so the framework after the U of A game was starting to take shape, and it was more a matter of, let's see what happens with bowl scenario. Going into that day, there was still a chance that we'd be playing in the Big 12 championship game. And so a lot of to be determines. After the U of A game, we kind of have a better sense of this is going to be an 8 or 9 win season. That helps give us a little bit firmer view of what the environment would look like, and we're able to start kind of buttoning up some of the details then.
And then you already had the creative workaround with the rollover years for six wins. How is that changing, if at all, and what was the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously live in an environment where there's a 5-year limitation on contracts, and I thought we took a really creative step forward last year in terms of bowl eligibility or 6 wins being a way to unlock additional years on the contract, pending approval, which we're confident. This group of regents is very supportive of the coach, very supportive of Dr. Crow. We've added something in there about season tickets. So 25,000 season tickets is an important additional marker that can add longevity to a contract. And I think that shows the regents, and it shows anybody that's looking, that there's football momentum, but there's also fan base momentum. And those resources matter when you're building and you're reinvesting in your programs. And so that was one of the additions that we put in there, but really played off last year what we did of finding a creative way to potentially add time to a contract in the way that we did last year. And so now there's additional pieces that will do the same.
I know that both you and Kenny talked about the landscape of college football just really changing almost daily. Would it be fair to say that when you were talking, like you said, after the Texas Tech game, you talk about NIL being a certain level, you talk about assistant coaches' pool salary being a certain level, that just 2 months later, at the end of the season, right after the U of A game, those numbers look different when you go into contract negotiations?
I don't know if they look different. We've been tracking on the reality. There's a lot going on at a national level right now. We've been on several Big 12 conference calls, even this last week, understanding where the College Sports Commission is and enforcement. We're still at the mindset that we've maxed out rev share. We've added tremendous amount of scholarships, including in football. The scholarships that we've added for other sports, I don't think has affected what we can or can't do for football. I think that's some misinformation out there. The SEC, if I'm not mistaken, was at 85 scholarships throughout. Or they've added scholarships to kind of spend off that $18 million rev share number. So we're no different in that regard, but it's more about designing momentum around commercial NIL and what we can do to be competitively separate in that space. And so that's why I've said often since I got the job, there's never been a better time to be us. There's never been a better time to be a Power 4 department, a Research 1 university in a major metropolitan area, because we have everything that we need around us. We have population, we have existing fans, we have the chance to grow new fans. We have a business community that is thriving all around us. When you see global corporations setting up shop in the Valley, largely a big part of it because of ASU's involvement. And when you see a small business community that's feeding off the momentum of what sellout football games can do, or what doubleheader basketball games can do for a place like Novus Place. And so it's us kind of watering those plants and making sure that people understand that this is an inexpensive way to contribute towards something that you care about and benefit from because of the momentum that it creates. And at the same time, you're enriching the experience of an ASU athlete in a way that's going to be different here than anywhere else in the country. And so I don't think it was about the marketplace as much as it was about refining the opportunity and making sure that everybody understands that we have a chance to have a competitive separator at ASU at this exact time in college sports, and really focusing our time and effort on who are the people, who are the businesses that will continue to allow us to do that.
So when you talk about those elements, they were there obviously last year too. Do you feel like it's just a natural, slow, maybe frustrating process just to really foster all those elements, to really to capitalize on them more in 25 and 26 than you did in 24?
I think it's just the growing awareness of how this can be a contributing factor into what we're doing. And at this particular time where the commercial intent behind NIL is a critical part of it, helping businesses understand that there are inexpensive ways to get in, there is ability to pick an athlete, a sport, a particular personality that fits what you're trying to promote, and that there's a true return on that investment. And we need to do more of it. I think where we've been focused on is growing our corporate partnership revenue, which is up significantly year over year. Our ticketing revenue is up significantly year over year. Our donations, we really need to nurture that spirit of giving around Sundell Athletics. And it's less about donating, it's more about investing, in my opinion. Dr. Crow talks a lot about this at a university level of, we want to find people that are investing in the mission of what we're here to do. And we're here to win. There's no mistake that we're here to win. We're here to win in football, we're here to win in basketball, we're here to win in everything that we do. We're still here to develop young people. That's still the fundamental purpose of college sports in 2025, is that we are a talent development organization. And so if you're a business that's looking for the ability to promote what you're doing, the ability to create awareness around whatever your product or service may be, at the same time you're still developing or helping us develop a young person by giving them resume experience, giving them a professional network, giving them a chance to prepare for life after sport, because at some point it will come to an end. And I think that's the remarkable part about NIL right now, is that it's less about giving kids money to play a sport. It's more about investing in them as young people that will become contributing members of society, and they're a part of something that's bigger than any one of us. And when you have the pieces of the puzzle starting to fit together, but those pieces are growing at the same time, I think it gives all of our coaches in all of our sports, certainly including football, a chance to really have that conversation with the recruit and their family. You're going to be taken care of. You're going to come to school, you're going to get a great education, you're going to learn from world-class coaches, and you're going to get some money that hopefully you're investing and you're wise with, but more importantly, you're getting a chance to prepare for life after sport. Any of our athletes, if you talk to them, they probably started playing when they were 4, 5, 6 years old, haven't had a high school part-time job, hard to do an internship when they're in college, don't get a chance to study abroad. And so we want to tool NIL as this talent development pipeline where they're building relationships, they're building a network. And think back to Coach Dillingham's very first press conference about Sun Devil for life. And that concept of you're in this family, you're in this network, it never leaves you. And why would you not take advantage of the access that you have in 3 or 4 years on this campus to go build relationships with people that have been incredibly successful at what they do, and how they have that transfer of knowledge, how they have that investment in you as an individual level in ways that are allowed now. So I'm just really excited that we're finding our footing, continuing and building that momentum. I think the reality of college sports is you don't get to a finish line. You've got to be constantly tweaking and refining those processes, those relationships, and creating that awareness of a little bit goes a long way. And a little bit in this fan base at scale has a chance to be a profound competitive advantage us for generations to come.
And the message on assistants, when you talked about, like coaches talked about it, and obviously a lot of the coaching staffs talked about retaining their assistants, but how do you feel that message, whether, you know, it might be a small point or a big point, but echoes on the recruiting trail, because they're seeing that, yeah, they're not just taking care of their head coaches, like they're making sure the other people that are coming to recruit them are staying in the program.
Well, I think it can't just be a head coach. If you just have a head coach that's good, it's going to be hard to run successful programs. And I totally agree with something that Kenny said yesterday. Our coaches are why we've been successful, our players are why we've been successful, and so having the resources to keep that group intact as long as we possibly can. And again, spirit of talent development, we're going to lose assistant coaches, we're going to lose coordinators to get a chance to be head coaches elsewhere. If we get another season or two out of somebody because we can be competitive financially and give them that tough decision of I'm not ready to leave for whatever reason, I'm not ready to leave. I love it here, I understand my contribution, I'm part of a great system, you're part of the climb of this program, which is valuable to a lot of people that are touching it. You look across the college football playoff right now, and how many times during broadcast yesterday did you hear about this coordinator is getting ready to go to this school to be a head coach? And we want to retain that talent as long as we can as well, and understand that we've got really incredible, young, up-and-coming, talented coaches throughout this football program. Same thing with our sports staff. We have a number of people within this program today that are going to get a chance to go to another program, get a chance to go to the NFL, get a chance to go do something else in sports. Having that investment, allowing us to keep this group together as long as we want to or as long as we can, is a part of what that commitment is to growing that staff pool. And so, again, we want that coaching tree. We want that for Coach Dillingham, where 10 years we look up and he's got head coaches that we're competing with against all over the country. But in the meantime, if we get another 2 or 3 years out of this group, that's what we wanted to make that investment for.
Do you
All right, so that is the first half with Sun Devil AD Graham Rossini. You heard it right there. I mean, information about social media and attacking, but what he's saying right there about Dr. Crow and, investing, yes, in athletics, but a major Research One university. And we talk about that. So it's one of those things where, again, being part of the university, yes, athletics, it is big, but you heard him saying right there is they started these conversations after the Texas Tech game. So again, coaches started getting fired. Everybody hears certain things, and that's that. So yeah, I am not Graham. That you go from there. So he and then you heard me. I just came. It was funny. It came about the halfway point, but you heard me ask about how it echoes in recruiting. Same thing I asked Coach Dillingham about. But he said, retain the assistant. Yeah, at some point you're going to have a coaching tree because you keep winning. And yes, with assistants and coaches, like he said, it is one of those things, but you keep this group together. I mean, obviously what Marcus Arroyo did, obviously Brian Ward, defensive coordinator. I mean, Marcus Arroyo, having been a head coach as well and seeing it, and that's one thing, Coach Regal talked to me about too. When we've had Coach Regal on, is when you're assistant coach and do certain things, but then when you become a head coach and you realize that yes, you need your assistants to not bring you important things, but things that yes, the head coach is going to know about, but you can keep off his desk, and then in the end, so it's a good flow. Again, not everything can be left off the head coach's desk. Not trying to do that, but there are things a head coach is doing that once you become a head coach and then you see it, that is, again, the flow of the assistants, but plus, again, really talented assistants like Graham said. I mean, we even heard Coach Van Neal talk about it in volleyball wise too. So again, like he's saying, I mean, yes, in football, but in other sports, I mean, they extended Coach Van Neal, and again, Forks up Sweet 16 run. And again, left a little that magic. Talked to Coach Miller about the DFA magic, and that the volleyball team has had the last few years, and this is absolutely awesome. So, take a quick break, digest that again. A lot of what Graham said there. We'll get back and we'll hear the second half of what Graham had to say here on Pitchfork Lunch. All right, back here on Pitchfork Lunch again. First half of Graham Rossini. First half all done. Second half from Sunday again between the men's and women's hoops game, the doubleheader, which was phenomenal, so much fun. And again, wish it would work out, more often. I know that takes a little bit of it also helped that the men were the women started conference play. The men are still a non-conference play, but an old conference foe. So that is that. But you're there. So let's get to the second half of Graham Rossini from Sunday. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot there. I want you to digest the first half. Now let's get to the second half.
I mean, we saw the Kenny's name come up every time there was a new opening, and it's probably not going to stop. I'm sure that next year, the first major coach that leaves, Kenny's going to. So, how much attention do you pay to that? And is it? I guess it's a compliment because people want your coaches.
Yeah.
But you don't want them to leave?
Yeah, we don't want them to leave. And that's the nature of when you have a young, popular, up-and-coming head coach the way that we do. We've got a number of successful coaches. And so we're always thinking about what do we need to be feeding into our programs to keep coaching talent here at ASU. And that's the reality of my job, and it's also an enjoyable part of my job, is having the type of relationship and awareness of what's going on in these sports to understand what are our coaches going to need. And we're not going to be able to do everything for everybody, but when we have a level of prioritization in terms of the sports or the moments or the momentum that we want to keep building, that's a big part of a job like mine, where you're kind of tracking on the environment, you're tracking on the tools that our coaches will need, you're tracking on the changes in the sport from year to year to make sure that we understand what are the things that we need to go find, what are the things that we need to fundraise for, what are the tools that ASU already has within a university setting that could benefit a lot of our sports programs. We're starting to see that, and so. It's a compliment. I think that's it's nice to know that established, successful coaches have picked our names as potential replacements, or media members have, but we want them here too, and we're going to fight like heck to keep our coaches intact as long as we can.
Coach was talking yesterday about kind of the pairing that he and Dr. Crow will make just on the fundraising trail, and how Crow has been one of the best fundraisers already, but what do you think can be mobilized still on that front?
Well, it's really important that we show a unified front, most importantly. And there's been this narrative this week that Dr. Crow doesn't care about sports. I couldn't find anything farther from the truth, and that's maybe something that at a university level we want to showcase his involvement, his investment more and more. It's a big reason why we're able to max out rev share in the first year. That's $20 million that didn't exist in our budget last year. We've made tremendous strides in commercial revenue, being smarter with the dollars that we do spend. But when you're adding a $20 million line item to a budget, well, you need some help in order to do those things. And we're not unique in that, but when our president said, hey, I want to find ways to get us in front and stay in front. 200 plus scholarships to a department, 84% of our athletes on some form of athletic aid. That's a president that's invested in athletics. When he's involved in the conversations with me this week on final details or creative thoughts that we are coming up with in a way that benefits what coach is seeking and what we're prepared to put in our program, that's a president that's interested in athletics. And so the fact that we can partner with him, he's a prolific fundraiser. You look at the momentum of this university, it's all around us. Very well connected, very well convicted in his message of why ASU has a chance to be a separator in everything that we do. Well, now that's going to include athletics, and that's a pretty positive thing.
You mentioned the college sports. Go ahead.
Kenny talked about his job is to keep pushing and as you say, to the highest possible potential and keep asking for need. What's, I guess, that push-pull dynamic in the conversation with him of trying to work with him to push to what new heights, but also trying to say from what's it?
Well, the same way you hear coaches talk about pushing for their players, I want to push for our coaches. And I bring it back to the talent development organization. Our athletes are the focal point of what we're here to do. You can't have great athletes without great leadership, great coaches. So my job, our job as an athletic department is to find the tools that our coaches need to be successful. And so the openness of conversation becomes the most important thing. And the honesty and the continuity of those conversations on things that we thought we needed in July may be different than the things that we need here in December. And so not holding on to one conversation at any moment in time, but having that kind of check back in. And we're together often. We're together in person often. We're together in communication on a daily basis, understanding, hey, where are we at? You know, players are hurt. What are things that we need to be thinking about from a performance standpoint? Or other tools that keep players on the field? Or making different decisions in the portal coming up? Or coaching staff and their ability to recruit, or their ability to hand off some of the recruiting to some of the support staff that is involved also in coaching. And so I love it. I love our coaches that are very mindful of, here are the tools that create advantages for us here at ASU. I want to fight for those things. I want to help find those things the same way that they want to find resources or tools for their players to be wildly successful at the same time.
You mentioned the College Sports Commission earlier. There are schools that are not agreeing to sign on to that, and there's a lot of talk about circumvention of that. What is your perspective on that and ASU's vantage point on that?
Yeah, we really need, as an industry, as a college sports universe, to sign the participant agreement. That's an important mechanical step. I look at the House settlement as it's written, and I feel like there should be enforcement even without the participant agreement. But that's the narrative lately, is that there's fine tuning to the participant agreement. It should be shared with the universities here in short order. It should be a modified version that should be something that we all get behind, because we do need enforcement. And at this particular climate where people are finding creative workarounds or not submitting deals to the clearinghouse or NIL Go, that's not the spirit of what we designed or what we all agreed to. Every Power 4 department opted into the House settlement. We all said, here are the rules of engagement, here are the rules that we've designed that we need to keep to, and the fact that we're not doing it within college sports is hard to fathom. So if that means we need to get the participant agreement across the finish line, we need to do that. And that needs to be a high priority for us to be focused on, to get across the line and have the College Sports Commission with the ability to enforce and do the job that they're doing. When you're hearing about collectives signing contracts with parents of athletes at schools in the Southeast, well, that's not the spirit of what we've designed this around, and that needs to stop. And if that means getting another piece of paper signed for us to have the ability for the CSC that's created to enforce and regulate an environment, well, we need to be focused on that every single day.
So from your relationships around the country, like, what do you anticipate with that happening?
It's going to get loud in the next couple of weeks, particularly as we get close to the football portal. And the same way that a lot of schools were front-loading deals before July and the settlement went into effect, a lot of those workarounds we expect are going to be happening again. The sooner we get across the finish line with the participant agreement and the ability for the CSC to show their teeth, it's going to be a really important step for us.
There was some backlash online to what Coach said about needing a big ticket booster. Obviously, it's kind of just the competitive landscape of college sports now. What's your kind of view on that, and how you can kind of find those people and persuade them to chip in?
Well, it's been pretty widely covered this week. I got a lot of emails. I did a lot of late night responding back to a lot of those emails. And my message was pretty consistent on a lot of those, that this is a shared responsibility. University's all in on athletics. University's doing everything that we can to keep coaching talent, keep all the competitive tools that we have in place, and continue to grow those. The shared responsibility comes from a fan base that's activated and energized, and that concept of let's ignite as Sun Devils. Let's never look back. Let's walk through the front door of opportunity that's staring at us right now, because if you have a season ticket, retain it. You're having a great time. You're part of these sellout environments that are unbelievable places to be. And remember, less than a year ago, we're wrapping up the BYU game saying, where else do you want to be on a Saturday in the fall at the Mountain America Stadium? A year later, we're doing it. Seven sellouts, incredible energy, really strong performance at home. We'll come back, renew your season tickets, invite somebody new to come to that, because those are dollars that we're reinvesting in the department. Same thing with corporate partners. You look at the new companies that have come on board, and I'll single out APS, powerful brand in the Valley, companies like Axon, powerful brands in the world that are choosing Sun Devil football as a way that they want to connect and that they want to associate in the Valley. They're getting that ROI in the investment, but at the same time, they understand that we're developing young people through sport. And it's a worthwhile investment. It's a great way for them to be connected in the community where their employees are enjoying, where their customers are enjoying, and there's that shared kinship. Well, that's got to continue with NIL. That's got to continue with the Sun Angel Network. That's got to continue at a B2B level where businesses big and small see the value of not only associating with the university, but also connecting with our athletes in the way that we can. Well, we've got to keep fundraising. We've got to continue to grow the pie of people that are investing in Sun Devil athletics in the way that they can. And if somebody's going to write a $20 million check, I'm all for it. We'd love to find those people. But more importantly, when you look at almost 700,000 ASU alums all over the world, there's almost 1 million people that have attended this university. That's where a little bit can start to go a long way in terms of feeding the momentum that we're starting to create. And it's a credit to our coaches, it's a credit to our athletes, it's a credit to the fan base that's so plugged in. But we're not satisfied with where we are today. And we don't want to put limits or ceilings on what we can accomplish as a department. And get to the point where our coaches don't need to consider leaving to go elsewhere to do what they can do here. And let's be in the moment right now where we continue to ignite and accelerate and we never look back. And I'm confident, and I wake up every day as a glass half full guy excited about what Sun Devil Nation is starting to do, because we're seeing it play out over these last 2 years where people are proud to wear the logo around town, they're excited to be around our coaches, they're excited to get to know our athletes, and they're making the investment that's fueling this momentum. Well, we're in the right city at the right time. And so continuing to do that is what we're focused on every single day. So big donors, small donors, we'll take them all, and we're gonna be reaching out to a lot of people, because the good news about thousands of people reaching out in the way that they have is we've got contact info, and we'll be following up with a lot of information, and that'll be a healthy process of what we're doing here the next couple of weeks.
When you look at where this, and I'm sure like the fan base, you've heard the last 2 weeks about, you know, especially with the Michigan thing coming up, and like the fan base was really on edge and really invested.
Yeah.
Could you have imagined this like even 3 years ago? It didn't seem like there was a bit of an indifference before Kenny got here, and now it's passion.
I remember a low moment for me was at the end of, I think it was the Eastern Michigan football game, and just watching how that game ended. And I just sat in the stadium for probably 20 minutes as it was emptying out. It was on the west sideline. I don't remember what section, but I remember just kind of stopping to take that in and just seeing a lot of frustration on faces, some apathy, just bad body language leaving the stadium. And I just remember in that moment thinking, like, I don't ever want to feel this again. I don't want to be associated with something that people are so disappointed with the results or the performance. And you're right, Michelle, I think when you look at contrasts, whatever, 3 years later, and the excitement and the passion and the enthusiasm that's ringing through, and the fact that people are on edge, rightly or wrongly, but they're on edge, and I understand that that's a part of the emotion that we're a part of. It reaffirms to me that people really, really care about this university. They really, really care about these sports programs. They really, really care about having that shared connection and that spirit of community that's so important for any athletic department, particularly at this moment. And so I take that as a positive. I take it as a positive that people are wanting to talk about ASU football in their friend groups, that they're living and dying by the results that happen on the field, that they're on the message boards and they're on social media and they're that engaged in what's going on in our program, that they have strong opinions, they have ideas, they have suggestions, they're asking how they can help. That's the sign of an activated, healthy fan base, in my opinion, and I would take that over the latter any single day.
Very good.
Wow. Yeah. So a lot there. Just think back to 3 years ago. And yes, that Eastern Michigan game, I know I got at the time I got, messages from you guys, and I just said their O-line average 6'4.5" or 6'4", 6'4.5", 6'5", and like 340 across the O-line. Again, ASU is a little bit had some injuries. Again, not an excuse, but like Graham was saying there, he saw people leaving and just like the frustration. But yeah, fast forward, 3 years and a Big 12 championship, a college football playoff appearance, playing, like Coach Dillingham said, in meaningful games down to the very last game, which again did not go their way, but nonetheless, still in those games and a chance for 20 wins in 2 seasons. But you heard him there, like, big time, big ticket investors. And yeah, there was some negative feedback. There was some backlash online, people saying, coaches beg, all these coaches begging, what they're getting paid, dump some of their money in. Well, again, there's a lot to reason as to why that probably couldn't happen and go off the last go off the past sections. I'll leave that alone. I'm just chuckling because that brings up a whole huge avalanche of stuff. So, but yeah, loved it there from Grant. So, gonna shift gears. Men's hoops. Like I said, we'll hear from Coach Hurley. Gonna do that right now after again the tough 3-point loss to Oregon State. They were up again, a little back and forth. Oregon State made a run. They just couldn't hit enough. And then, unfortunately, the last chance for a three-pointer from Mo Odom, he lost the ball, and that was that. Could have sent it to overtime. Also, after we hear from Coach, there was a thing about a lane violation for player got from Oregon State, got an extra free throw. I'll cover that up. But here is Coach Hurley post-game after, again, the tough, frustrating loss to Oregon State.
Frustrating loss, obviously. Though we played a winning game, we did not get rebounds, and something that has haunted us at times this year, surfaced again. We made some bad tactical decisions on maybe like one pass away, rotating and leaving a shooter open. So we did some things to hurt ourselves, but certainly had full control of the game, 68-57. And then here comes the whistles and the technical and a lot of 50-50 calls in that last 2 minutes, and none of them went our way. I will say that. But they made the plays they needed to make. They made free throws. Even when they missed them, they were able to shoot them again. So, hats off to Oregon State.
Did you get was Allen's not being able to go and the rebound, especially?
It's we had a nice rotation with him, and he had some good minutes in the first half. First time around, no. Second time, yes. He scored around the basket. He would have provided, I think, more physicality and rebounding around the basket.
Any update on the situation?
On medical, it's too early right now, and it's lower leg, and they didn't seem to think it was something that would be that serious, but it's still a little bit early to know.
You have other guys that have length, Truett, Gervich. So what do you thought about those guys' ability to rebound?
They were in foul trouble. Gervich was in foul trouble all game. I don't know if I could really fairly assess what he did or didn't do right now. It seemed like he was just always in and out of the game. I thought Santi gave us a spark, especially with some offensive rebounding in the first half as we were trying to get back into the game. But the same thing happened here has been happening routinely, is us getting behind early in the game, 19-9, and instead of at home after a really good crowd, good turnout, we just came out and they were able to take control of the game early, and now we're behind again, and we fought hard to get the lead at half, but it's should be playing better, particularly early in the game, and we didn't do that.
Is Mo, he's had a tough shooting night the last couple of nights. Is he running out of gas a little bit, or?
That's the question for him. We tried to, we dialed back the physicality of some of our practices because I knew the UCLA game took a lot out of us. It was a high exertion game. There were guys, their numbers that were extremely high in that game. So I think we managed them well to give them a chance to be as fresh as possible. But it's awful because no one thought anything of us. Maybe we'll win the handful of games this year, or 6 games, or whatever. And we were right. We were in a really good position to get double-figure wins here heading into conference play, and fell short. So that's where the biggest disappointment is. But overall, we've had a pretty solid non-conference with the wins we had. But this game hurts. It's one that we were winning, that we had full control of, and didn't really make the necessary plays to close it out.
With the day that Bryce had, do you just chalk up some of those misses to just rust?
It looked like the second one he was tired, and I don't think he was committed to the shot. Are you referring to the back-to-back misses he had in the threes? Yeah. The second one, he passed up one, then dribbled, and then took kind of like a step back three. So that wasn't I just don't know. After he missed the first one, I think he was a little unsure of himself.
So when you look at the beginning of the season, what you expected to see out of non-conference, record-wise, play-wise, how satisfied, disappointed are you at this point?
I just go by what people's expectations are. We were trash. You know, we weren't going to win any games. We don't know who any of these guys are. You know, therefore, you know, we're not going to win any games. We're not going to be competitive. Had some really nice moments. You know, the win against Hawaii on the road. You know, the 2 games in Maui that we were able to win against Texas. Oklahoma game was our best game of the season. Played them very well. Some good moments. Now this one hurts. It really knocks us back.
Did you get an explanation on Pig's technical?
So, you know, Pig, he complains sometimes. You know, he's like that type of. He's not going to run up in an official's face or try and show him up. But there are some officials that you talk to, and some that you don't.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, that's a mic drop. Yes, there are some officials you talk to and some that you don't, as that was, again, head coach Bobby Hurley. Again, like you said, up 68-57. Like you're feeling good. Feeling good about it. And, you know, Oregon State, like I said, made those plays. And, you know, that's just tough because when you think about it, like, you know, yeah, trying to get to 10 wins, get to double digits. And then you fall 78-75. You know, that's the thing. Like you look at, I mean, the Devils shot 45% from the field. Oregon State was 44. You know, both teams, Oregon State a little bit better. I mean, 36% from 3, you know, right there. Devils were 21%, 4 for 19. But the Devils, 88% from the free throw line. And what did I say yesterday? I'm not going to talk out of one side of my mouth for one game and the other. You shoot like that, you're getting free throw, you're getting to the line, you're hitting 86% of your free throws. And guess what? You're going to win a lot of games. I mean, it's going to keep you in games. And, you know, you come to obviously conference play, tournament play. Yeah, I mean, that's 21-24, 80%. Now, granted, Oregon State was 18-21, they're 86%. So both teams there. Oregon State had more turnovers, 12-9. Points off turnovers, ASU 14-12. They did get out rebounded. The Sun was 39-29. That's what Coach Hurley was talking about right there. And I know I said I was going to bring Mo Odom to you. I don't know where it went. The video disappeared. It is off in the cloud, but not my cloud. It's off somewhere. So yeah, that in and of itself, don't know where. But yeah, I mean, you look at, I mean, again, I'll wrap on that. You look at that. I mean, 80, like I said, 80%. And then you know, total rebounds, like I said, 39-29. That in and of itself is frustrating. You know, we get out rebounded by 10. Defensive rebounds, 25-21 in favor of Oregon State. And then offensive rebounds, they have 14 to 8. I mean, second chance points, ASU is 8-7. Bench points, Oregon State 25-19. Paint points, ASU dominates there 38-22. Fast break points, 19-9 for ASU. Blocks 5-2 ASU. Teams both had 6 steals. Oregon State 18 assists to 11. But like again, when I you can see a close game. It's a 3-point game. So, but that rebounding part and not hitting some shots. Santi Truett was 5 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. And then he was 2 for 2 from the line. Bryce Ford, 2 for 2 from the line, although he did struggle 1 for 5 from 3, 3 for 7 from the field overall. Mo Odom, 5 for 16 from the field. 1 for 8 from 3, but 6 for 6 from the line, locking in there. Grbovic, who fouled out, was 0 for 3, but 1 for 1 from the line. Masama Diop, I mean, look, this kid was 6 for 9 from the field, 4 for 5 from the free throw line, 16 points. He also had, I want to say, let's see. 6 for 9. So he had 16 points. I mean, just 3 rebounds for a 7-1 guy. And I say just, I mean, you're getting rebounds, but 3 rebounds. 2 of them were offensive, which is good to see. But 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 1 steal. So, and he played, 25 minutes. He finished with 3 fouls. Grabovich fouled out, and both Pig Johnson and Noah Musin had 4 fouls. And coach, said that again, 50-50 calls, and did not go their way. But look, I look at it, I greatly look at it this way, is we'll wrap on this. When you look at the Sun Devil schedule, the record, yes, 9-4, could be 10-3, but they have dropped the last 2, which was to UCLA, old Pac-12 foes, UCLA, 90-77, and then to Oregon State, 78-75. January 3rd is when they are back, when they start conference play. And they are home against Colorado. Again, get on out there. Let's get loud. Again, this team is right there. And look, the selflessness that they play with, and coaches talked about it. I know he mentioned it earlier and played it here on the show for you guys, that, making subs, guys coming in and out, get a breather. But, if somebody's, not just maybe struggling a little bit, hey, just get them a breather, get them down. Again, different sport. Coach Van Neal talk about certain times players were just, you sub them out, get them a breather. They go back in, and look at that. So, but this team, and again, Mo Odom was very upset, to say the least, and apologies where that video went. So nonetheless, though, hey, that wraps up today's Taco Tuesday holiday. So I don't know, make it a little holiday spicy. Oh, a little green, little red, little jalapeno, maybe a little Tabasco, sriracha on there. So it's a holiday. We already got the green also with lettuce. If you don't put the lettuce in there, so hey, a little green, little red. You got tomatoes. Holiday Taco Tuesday this week. So we're gonna get out of here. But have a phenomenal rest of your Taco Tuesday. Again, like I said, make them a little spicy. And yes, as always, thanks to back-to-back reigning Big 12 champions, women's volleyball, forks up to them. That program, it is #OurState. And yes, like I always say, team down south, that's for you to remember. It is #OurState. And yeah, like I said, have a phenomenal rest of your day. It is #OurState. Don't forget that. As always, go Devils. And you guys know it. I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel here on Pitchfork Lunch. You get at Diablo00 on X, ours formerly known as Twitter. My IG, Michael.Caratuno.5. The YouTube, which is at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Champ, at MVC005 on YouTube. All available to you. So I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And you guys know it. As always, forks up.
I went to Arizona State. Right. I'm a Sun Devil, man.
27-yard line. That's a great call. Blake Baker. Farmer will put it up. Throws over the middle. Pull. Touchdown. Quick flag.
3rd down and 5. Levis swings it to Scadaboo. Scadaboo breaks defenders. Here he goes again.
Scadaboo is the running back, and he is immediately met. The backfield runs through the contact and then throws a shoulder for good measure.
On this team this year. That is true. High in the air. Right center field. Brandon Compton. Welcome to 2025.
The other way. It gets no going back. That's the drag. Walks up and down. Edwards pulls off and buries it. Richardson drives out for Robbie Ryan. Hurt 3 right on the money.
Takes a shot for Darby. matters.